So we continue today with our class Shabbos Home, and this session and all of them should be dedicated to Refuah Shlema of our dear Rabbi Reuven Shlita. His name is Yaron Ben Doris. Also to Refuah Shlema Yehudis Bas Noach, Ariela Ora Bas Anna, Yemim Arasi Rachel Bas Brindel, David Shlomo Ben Sandra. Also a quick release of our dear friend Moshe Shmuel Ben Pnina. So today we continue with our class Shabbos Home. Just 1 second. Shabbos Home, and we're on chapter 15. And now big topic is sowing. And we saw we said last time sowing is including many activities. So it's not like sowing like there is a hole in the ground and you put the seed and maybe cover with the soil. It's not only that. So we said. Here we go. What is included in sowing? And we said that 3 separate areas, right? And initiating growth. Okay, we're going to see what is it. Number 2, planting, promoting growth / watering plants. So that's a big one. And number 3, protecting growth. Okay. So, and now we're going to go one by one with all of the details, BeEzrat HaShem. So let's start with 1, initiating growth. A, methods. Av Milacha included all different methods of causing plant or seed to begin growing. Sowing, scattering the seeds over the field as with grain. Okay. Planting, placing individual seed into the hole in the ground, as with the trees. Grafting, a branch from one tree into another. Layering, bending a branch of vine into the ground where when it gives rise to the new shoots. And replanting, a sprout, sapling, bulb, or plant. Okay, so let's 1 second. I want to see. Okay, let's go over these general methods again, and we're going to get some ideas, and then we will go to. I see he goes to practical applications right away. So again, av milacha. So planting was sowing. Sowing is of course when in the sense putting something in the ground. So again, so av milacha includes all different methods of causing plant or seed being grown. Sowing. So sowing, as we said, throwing the seeds in the field, right? Like we do with grain. So last time we said. There are two different opinions. So according to one opinion, if you sow in a place where there is no possibility that it's going to grow, there is no problem. Like somebody throws seeds on on the pavement, right, on the cement or asphalt. Nothing is going to happen, right? Most likely, and I mean, of course, it's possible. There's a crack, and it's the seed is going to go into the crack, or or it's going to get blown off to the soil. It's possible, but we get the point. So for sure, if a person throws the seeds like in a field, for sure it is a biblical violation. Then planting. So like with plant with trees, you make a hole and you put a sapling in there. Right, or even bulbs, right? Bulbs you buy in the store, for example, flowers. They come in bulbs, right? And you dig a hole, put in the ground. Okay. Grafting. So grafting meaning also grafting. You're not taking anything. You're not putting anything into the ground. So you have a tree. So you're right. You make a cut on a branch, and then you take the branch from another tree, and then you taped it together, right? You're grafting. So meaning right, one into another. So it is what? It's also considered to be sowing. So meaning sowing, you planting something. So I mean the melacha is sowing, but we understand it planting. So now this branch, right? This grafted branch is going to grow. Layering. So before we go to layering, somebody asked me a question. Somebody, maybe two people asked me the same question. I'm not sure where they find, but it's doesn't matter. Right, the question was in months of Nisan, right? So we have this tradition to make a blessing on the blossom of the fruit tree, and the question was, are you allowed to make a blessing if this fruit tree was grafted? If this branch was grafted to a tree. So usually I was a little surprised. I mean, if the whole tree is a fruit tree and there is a branch from another tree, like so make the blessing on the main tree, right? But if the main tree is not fruit tree, I'm not sure if they do that. I mean, I'm just guessing. But and the question is, are you allowed to make a blessing on a grafted branch? It's like it's not preferable way of doing things, right? Because it is forbidden for Jews, right? For sure, it's forbidden for Jews, but we can eat the fruits. Like if non-Jew do it, we can eat the fruits. So in this case, also like after the fact, we can make a blessing if nothing else is available. Okay, so it's very interesting. This 1 year, like people from different countries asked me the same question. Very interesting. Okay, so next one is layering. So layering is also a very interesting thing. I never knew about it, but I learned it in the Mishnah. Right, we learned Mishnah Kilayim. Right, that's what we learned about layering. So layering, you have grape wine. And it is it takes all the sustenance from the root. So the further from the root, right, from when it goes to the ground, the weaker is it. You understand that the less supplies is going to get. So what they do, they they bend it and put it in the ground, but because it's very soft. Put it in the ground. Maybe they make a cut, so I don't exactly remember, and it start growing into the ground roots. So now you have like additional links. So I mean, from initial point, it is going to get supplies until these roots, and this from roots, it's like a relay, right? It's going to get more energy, more nutrients to the rest of the grape wine. It's very interesting. So that's what they did many times. Okay, so it is like in a sense, what exactly you planting? You're planting something that is already growing, but your intention, so it's going to take a root in there. Okay, so that's layering. Okay, and replanting. So replanting meaning it's not new planting. You take it from somewhere and then you plant somewhere else. Like that's what they do with vegetables or something, right? Right. They start like germination in a house, right? And then they just start growing a little. Then they plant into the soil. Okay. So that's would be forbidden. Okay. So now we've finished with methods. We're going to be applicability of the prohibition. So of course, I mean, most likely none of us have even access to all of these things, but something's very applicable to us. So and that's what we're going to concentrate. The prohibition applies to seeds, bulbs, or plants placed in soil from which they can grow. Placing them in soil which cannot produce growth is not prohibited activity. For example, planting seed in the desert sand is not forbidden because seeds cannot grow in a desert. Similar, placing seeds in a sandbox is not forbidden because they cannot grow there. Furthermore, one may place seeds in place where the people will trample them because the seed cannot grow in such area. Okay. Likewise, one may throw seeds on the soil for the chickens to eat. These seeds will not grow because the chicken will eat them. However, one may only throw out amount that the chicken will consume in less than 3 days. Throwing a greater quantity is forbidden, because the chicken will not consume the excess. Thus, the seed will begin to grow in the ground. Okay. So let's do this piece and we're going to explain. All right. So let's do it again. It's very, very interesting. Okay, so applicability of prohibition. The prohibition applies to the seeds, bulbs, plants placed in the soil from which it can grow. So it's very, very important, like from which all of these are considered to be sowing. Seeds, bulbs, plants, etc. Right, when it can grow. So meaning if you put it in a desert, or as we said, there is a pavement, nothing is going to happen, right? So there is no prohibition, but it is a right. But we have concern, as I said, maybe they're going to get blown off with the wind and to the place where they can grow actually. So it is a problem. Okay. And for us, like in general, most likely we're not going to sow in these places, but we have to be careful when if we eat outside. Right? That could be like it. Of course, it's indirect. That was not our intention, but it could produce this result. Okay. So all right. So he said planting in the desert, no, right, would not be forbidden. Planting in sandbags also not forbidden. Okay. Furthermore, continue, one may place seeds in a place where people will trample them because seeds cannot grow in that area. I'm not sure. Maybe he's talking about like it is a soil, but when people walk there a lot, so it's like it became very hard, and most like people were like trample them. Okay. Likewise, one may not throw seeds on the soil, right? Right, for chicken. So meaning to make sure that chicken are going to eat whatever they eat, right? So and he said 3 days. I don't think they give chickens 3 day supplies. I don't think so. I think 1 day supply, and they're going to eat. So and see here, it's also very connected to what we said yesterday about these misers. Right? They never satiated, right? They always want more and more. Right, but animals are not like that. Right? Animals, chickens, right? It says that if you give too much feed to the chicken, then they're not going to eat. They're going to leave it alone. But person, and unfortunately, people eat. Unfortunately, right? They cannot get satiation. Okay. Okay. So continue. Next one. See, eating fruits and vegetables outdoors. Right. So this is very applicable. When eating fruits and vegetables outdoors, one must be careful not to throw seeds and pits on soil. The seeds or pits may germinate, which is violation of Melacha of Zorea. Okay, so meaning would we like throw the pits on the ground? I don't know, maybe kids, they would play with watermelon seeds, but otherwise people would not, like adults would not do. But we have to be careful. Right? We have to be careful. Right. So a person might throw this the pieces of apple, right? The finished apple, not finished apple, throw and say maybe squirrels are going to eat or some other animals are going to come. So it is a problem then. Okay. So next one, D, planting in a flower pots. So this is more applicable to us, right? Planting in a flower pots outdoors may be either Torah or rabbinic prohibition, depending on the type of the flower pot. Planting in a flower pot indoors subject to the different rule, as will be explained below. Okay. Right. Number one, perforated flower pot. There is a pot with a hole in it, and number two, non-perforated flower pot, a pot with no hole in it. Okay, so let's. So now I think it's a long discussion. Maybe not so long, but we're going to explain. So before we continue, let's try to understand. So flower pots could be two different kinds. There is one with a hole. The hole usually if it's on the bottom, But if you have the big flower pots, I'm not sure if they still call flower pots, but the people use it for growing vegetables. You have a porch or something, right? You have a deck, and you wanted to play to grow vegetables there. So there's a bigger pots, plastic, but they have many holes like on the bottom. So if you have excess water or it's raining, so the water would go or go off. Right? There is like some thing to collect the water, and then if needed, it's going to get absorbed back to the flower pot. So meaning for sure those have holes, right? And there are some of them. So they have like I don't know what like a saucer, or whatever we call it, a plastic thing, tray, whatever they call it, right? So for excess water to come out. But there is ones without hole, completely without hole, and I'm not sure if it's a good idea to use them like on the outside. On inside, I understand, but outside, I'm not sure why would somebody use it, because if you have too much water, right, too much water from rain, the plant is going to rot too much, unless it's a special plant. I don't know. But in inside indoors, there is no problem. You control how much water you add. There is no problem. So again, it's very important what kind of flower pot we have, and it's actually directly from a Talmud, right? It's a perforated pot with a hole, and it could be hole not even in the bottom. The Talmud teaches even hole there is on the side because you have a crack. So today, of course, today all of the perfect flower pots, but in olden days they were like earthenware and handmade and try to get cracked. So if it's a crack like a tiny crack, when the root of the plant can go through, that's considered to be perforated. So like how long it's like there is some tiny plant roots, like a hair, maybe not as hair, but like maybe 5 times thicker than hair. I'm not sure. So, but yeah, those considered to be perforated. So meaning if it's earthenware, maybe, right? If it's a plastic or other material, most likely, and it says and you didn't see hole, so most likely it's not perforated. Okay, so let's start the explanation. So first we're going to explain this perforated flower pot, and then of course we're going to talk about the vases, right? Whether or not you're allowed to put flowers in the vase, right? Somebody for Friday night, you invited your neighbors or somebody, right, for Friday night dinner, and they came right when they're ready, basically. When they came, it's already Shabbos, and they brought you the bouquet of flowers, and they want you to put them in a vase, right, with water. So what are you going to do? It's very interesting. Okay, so we'll see this as well. I think this should be in this chapter. Okay, so first category, perforated flower pot. A perforated flower pot is considered attached to the ground because of its hole, which allowed the plant to draw nutrients from the ground. Planting in a perforated flower pot is thus considered planting in the ground and is forbidden biblically. A flower pot is categorized as perforated if it contains hole through which a small root can feed. The location of the hole is immaterial. So he goes exactly from Gemara. It can be on the bottom or on the side of the pot, because the plants can grow can draw in nutrients from the soil through the either bottom of the side of the pot, even if the pot is not resting on the ground, but hanging above it, right? As high as it may be, it nevertheless considered to be attached to the ground, because a plant can draw a certain amount of nutrients from the ground even through the air. However, this is true only as long as there is no obstruction separating the pot from the ground. Under certain circumstances, even a plant grown in a non-perforated pot non-perforated, is considered connected to the ground if the plant's leaves spread over its sides, exposing them to the soil beneath. They are able to draw nutrients from the ground. Thus, they are considered attached to the ground. The earthenware or wood flower pot is considered perforated even when it has no hole in it. Okay, so we stop here. As we see, it's a lot of information. Okay, a lot of information. So let's go from the beginning. We're going to explain. So now we're going to see the first the type of flower pot. As we already understand, this is the problematic one. Second one is not that bad, but but still an issue, right? Still, okay. So again, perforated flower pot, right? So this perforated flower pot is considered attached to the ground, meaning right, even we don't see attachment and right, but through these roots, right, so that not even through the roots, through the hole, right, and even if, for example, you have like a balcony or something, and there's some like hooks that you can hang your plants, and they're going to hang above the ground. So if you have a cement there, like pavement there, like it's separation, as he said. But if there's nothing, if it's ground, for sure it's it is connected to the ground, right, and gets the nutrients. And he said it does not matter how long, how high is this plant from the ground. Of course, the connection is not going to be as strong. We understand whether the person lives on the first floor or 17th floor. Of course, it's a big difference, but still, it's considered halachically as this flower pot is connected to the ground. Again, there is like hooks and they on chains. They put beautiful flowers, right, or whatever they have there. For sure, it is a problem. Okay. So, so he's saying, so planting in perforated flower pot is considered planting in the ground and forbidden biblically, right? So there is no difference. There is no difference whether a person puts things like this seed in the ground, or he puts or she puts this seed into this flower pot that's on the 17th floor. Okay. And as he said, it does not matter what the root is. So usually, commercially, of course, they put it on the bottom of the pot, like in a center, or they do like all around, right? Doesn't matter. Or if it's like cracked, could be like on top, on any side, right? So very interesting. So meaning again, this plant is going to get nutrients from the ground. Doesn't matter where the hole is. Okay. Right. So a second. Let's see. Okay. Continue. So now as we started, we said this is problematic type, right? That has a hole, right? Whether intentional hole or unintentional hole, meaning nobody drill a hole. It was right. It was cracked by itself, or a root so strong that it went through the hole, right? But also could be a problem with what? With the flower pots without hole. Without hole, what is the situation when the leaves overgrow, overhang the sides? So now the leaves are going to get the nutrients, not the roots, but the leaves, right? So that's right. That's how plants are being fed from the bottom and then from the top, from the sun and from the air. Okay. Just 1 second. Okay, so that's what we said. The earthenware or wood flower pot is considered perforated, even when there is no hole in it. Oh, so it's very interesting, right? So very interesting. So it's again earthenware or wood flower pot are considered perforated. So even there were no holes there before, because we understand they're porous. So meaning the air is going to travel back and forth. I mean, the original, like the best flower pots, as I understand, is earthenware, right? Because they breathe, right? That's the problematic ones. Okay, so continue. So again, when it has a hole, it's considered with a pot with a hole in this category. Even without hole, when the leaves are overhanging to the sides of the pot, is a problem. And when the pot is made of wood or earthenware, so all of these soft porous materials. Any others maybe, I don't know, but he lists only two. Okay, so subsection B, A. Instances where perforated flower pot is not treated as perforated. Okay. So I mean, one example is as we said before, maybe if it's like some blockage, right? But let's see. So meaning this, even if it's as I said, 70th floor, but only if there is a straight line from the pot to the ground. So it basically does not go to the sides. Okay. Instances where perforated flower pot is not treated as perforated. There are several instances in which the perforated pot is not treated as perforated, and planting it in it therefore does not violate the Torah prohibition. If a perforated pot rests on a glass, stone, metal, or iron, right? The plants in it cannot draw nutrients from the ground. Similarly, if a perforated pot is standing in a house where the floor of the house separated between it and the ground below, the plants cannot draw nutrients from the ground. Therefore, even when perforated pots are treated in these cases, even perforated pots are treated in these cases as if they are not perforated, because they are separated from the earth by non-porous materials. Okay, so let's finish reading and we're going to go back. Based on the above, the following halachas are applicable to the perforated flower pots. Number one may not move them from indoors to outdoors, because one thereby moves them from a place where they do not draw nutrients from the ground to a place where they can draw them. Number two, similarly, one may take pots standing outdoors on a non-porous material and place them on the earth. One may not take the pots standing outdoors on non-porous materials and place them on the earth, because this can cause them to draw nutrients from the ground. Okay, so I mean, as we see, it's a lot of information, a lot. So let's start from the beginning. We go slowly, and then we're going to explain. BeEzrat HaShem. So this is applicable if somebody has a backyard or has backyard, for sure. For sure, it's very applicable. Okay, so from the beginning. There are several instances in which perforated pot is not treated as perforated. So it is a hole, but it's not a hole. It's not considered. And planting is therefore does not violate the Torah prohibition. So of course, like from the wording we see, it is forbidden on a rabbinic level. So meaning that nobody is allowed us to do that, but at least person is not going to get the death penalty if he's if he does so. So that's the only difference. But chorus for sure, person is going to get. If a perforated pot rests on the glass or stone or metal or iron, the plants in it cannot draw nutrients from the ground. So meaning again, if it rests on the ground or on a glass on a glass table, or as we said, all of this perforated pots, usually they have some kind of like a tray or saucer or whatever they call it for the excess water to drain out. So meaning that this for sure it's considered to be like separation, right? For sure it's considered to be separation, especially if it's glass. So we have something on a glass table. So for example, you have that's a I think even better example. You have a deck. So I have a deck which is wooden deck. So I mean, for the wood we said porous, for sure it's going to go, and there are holes between the planks, and under the deck you have soil. So for sure there's a connection to the ground. I think that would be the best example, right? So if you have a plant that's standing on, let's say you have a glass table, okay, so there is no problem. So this glass table is going to separate. But if you have this under the pot, if flower pot, if you have this tray, there is no problem. Okay, so all of the strong materials are going to separate. So same in the house, same in the house. So if you have some bungalow, when you don't have a basement, you don't have a base, right? You have on the floor and underneath is nothing. So of course, it's considered to be they're connected to the ground. But if you have a house and you have let's say you have a hardwood floor, wood is a wood, but you have a basement. So basement is usually it's like there you have a cement, right? Like a finished the floor. There's a floor. There's a floor, so meaning that this floor is going to stop drawing of nutritions. Okay, so that helps. Okay, so meaning it is a perforated pot, but it's not treated as perforated because you have this basement, or because you have this table that it stands on, or because you have this tray. Okay, so we explain all of this. Therefore, even the pots, even the perforated pots, are treated in these cases as they are not perforated. Again, because there is no direct link from the pot to the ground, because they're separated from earth of non-porous material. Okay. So let's go into these practical applications. Based on above, the following halachas are applicable to perforated flower pots, again with a hole. One may not move them from the outdoors to indoors, from indoors to outdoors. So meaning from indoors where you had like a floor, let's say cement, we have tile floor, like to make it simple. So you have tile floor, so for sure there is a separation, right? And if you're going to take them to your deck, like a wooden deck, for sure it is absolutely forbidden, right? Because inside it was treated as not perforated, and now when you take it outside, it's going to be treated as perforated because it is perforated. Okay. So now it's going to start to draw nutrients from the ground. And example number 2. Similarly, one may not take pots standing outdoors on a non-porous material and place it on the earth. So we're talking about, if you think about it, like even 1 inch you move them, or a few inches, maybe let's say the hole is in the middle, like 4 inches you move them. So you have a soil, right, and you have a pavement, and you have this flower pot with a hole, but it stands on the pavement, so for sure there is no problem because it does not draw the nutrients. I mean, if you don't move it, there is no problem whatsoever. If it was like that before Shabbos and you just let it be, there is no problem. But you cannot move it and then put it like few inches to another side and put it on the ground. Absolutely forbidden, because now it's going to draw the nutrients from the ground, which is a problem. Okay, so B, changing the position of the perforated flower pot. Okay, it is rabbinically prohibited to lower a perforated flower pot from the higher position to a lower position in outdoors. The reason, I mean, we can logically understand the reason. The reason is that although the plant draws nutrients from the ground, even when they're very high, it draws more nutrients when it's lower. Right? However, one is permitted to move a perforated flower pot across the ground from one place to another because it is continuously on the ground, and moving it therefore is not diminishing the amount of nutrients it draws from the ground. Okay, so let's try to understand what it says here. So now we're going to, we start with biblical, and now we're going to rabbinical. Okay, so again, changing the position of perforated flower pot. It is rabbinically prohibited to lower the position. So of course, everybody understand, the closer you to the source, the stronger you have feed of these nutrients. So if it's stand like a hanger, I don't know, like few feet above the ground, right? There is some like special poles that you put into the ground. They have hooks, right? And you can hook hang there your flower pots, right? There's some right some things like that. So of course it like if it grows, it gets the nutrients from the ground, and if you take it from there and put it on your balcony or something, on on your rail of your balcony, even it's like it's 5 feet different, but of course this connection to the soil is not going to be as strong. So of course we're not going to measure how much strong, or right, but it's irrelevant. We understand it's the further from the source, the less nutrients is going to get. So our rabbis forbade us to do that. But he said if it's on the same ground and you want to like move it like across the ground, because I don't know, for a practical example, maybe you wanted to put chair or I don't know, some you need the space there, so there is no problem. Why? Because it's still attached to the ground, so like it's exactly the same soil, plateau land, so you just move to another place, no problem. So let's see. Okay, so 1 second. Okay, so we're going now into number 2, which is a non-perforated flower pot. Non-perforated. According to many authorities, planting in a non-perforated flower pot only rabbinically prohibited. So again, it's all prohibited, but we're trying to understand on which level. Okay, rabbinically prohibited. However, since the non-perforated flower pots does not draw the nutrients from the ground, one may move it from indoors to the outdoors. Okay, so I mean that's it. That's it. So let's try to understand. So non-perforated flower pot, according to many authorities, you cannot plant there. It is forbidden rabbinically, right? But the leniency is that you can move it from inside to outside, right? Since there is no connection anywhere to the ground, so nothing actually changed. So again, if it's the flower pot is not made of wood or this earthenware, okay. So or from outside to inside, and sometimes you want to do that, but you have to do it on time, right? On time, what I mean. So if you try to save it from sun, right? Right, you have a very strong sun there. So you have to do it before the sun is there. So, but when the sun is shining, it would be absolutely forbidden. There is like there is a halakhic concept to moving from sun to shade. So meaning you try to protect it. It would be forbidden. But if it's normal circumstance, like it's still in the morning, the sun is going to be there here only like 2 or 3 hours later, there is no problem. You can move. So it's very practical halakha. Again, when it's when it has no hole, or as I said, you have some kind of tray underneath. Okay, so let me quickly check the time. You know what? I think we can stop here. We can stop here because the next subject is pretty long. It's all connected, so I'm just going to say the next topic is promoting growth, watering plants. So of course, watering plants or putting these flowers into the vase is actually going to be in the same category. And of course, we're going to discuss with what you water the plants, right? Okay, so, but it's going to be for next time. So let's take 5 minutes break, and then we continue with other topics for 5 minutes.